An SNN news crew came across two bumper stickers on the same car this week, one supporting Donald Trump, the other Bernie Sanders. That's just one of the topics we're tackling in this week's Countdown to Vote 2016. Take a look. Herald Tribune political editor Zach Anderson, welcome to Studio B. Lots going on in presidential politics, and we'll start with Ted Cruz's announcement that Carly Fiorina is going to be his running mate. Kind of unusual since he hasn't wrapped up the nomination?
Yeah, totally unusual. You know, to not get the nomination and announce your running mate, it seems a little bit like putting the cart before the horse. But you know, Cruz got thumped pretty badly last night in the Northeast primaries by Trump, who went 5 for 5,
right,
who won every county, every congressional district, really dominating performance. Cruz really needs to change the narrative and get some momentum back. So I think this is a little bit about getting some media attention and just sort of mixing things up.
Yeah, and speaking of Trump, here locally, one of our crews was out recently, and we saw a bumper sticker. On one side of the back of the car, it had Trump. On the other side, Bernie Sanders. Can you imagine that household? What it's like being in there? Almost like maybe Bears, Packers fans in the same house.
Yeah, when you first think about something like that, you would think that those two are kind of diametrically opposed on different sides of the political spectrum. But when you get down to it, Trump and Sanders are both channeling a sort of an anti-establishment message. You look at some of their proposals.
Yeah.
There's a certain economic populism, a sort of, you know, they're against free trade. There's other issues where they really kind of overlap. So
yeah,
I don't think there's a ton of Bernie and Trump, you know, people who support both of them, but there's bound to be a few out there.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, a neighborhood rivalry. We also came across a neighborhood where someone with a lot of Trump signs in his yard, and then literally next door you can see Bernie Sanders signs. So I wonder what that is like when they take the garbage out.
Well, you know, it's getting to be that time of year. You know, you're starting to see, you know, the enthusiasms build. You know, it's starting to get a little bit more tense here. So it's not surprising that you see people starting to show their colors. They're getting enthusiastic. They're getting psyched up for their team. So I think we'll start to see a lot more of that passion as we start to get closer to the convention and the you know, the general election.
Zach Anderson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.